Imagine standing on a runway, looking up and seeing a shadow so vast it blocks out the sun. We aren't talking about ordinary airplanes here. We are talking about engineering miracles that defy the laws of physics. From a flying behemoth capable of swallowing a battle tank whole to a bizarre hybrid that the internet affectionately calls the flying bum. And finally to a machine so powerful it wasn't built to fly in the world, but to kick us out of it. Today we are counting down the top 10 largest, most incredible aircraft ever built by human hands. Buckle up, because these giants are about to take flight. Number 10. The fallen giant, Antonov An-225 Mriya. When you ask an aviation lover about the king of the skies, one name echoes louder than any other, the An-225. Designed during the twilight of the Soviet era, this wasn't just a plane. It was a symbol. Its name, Mriya, literally translates to dream. And for decades, it carried the dreams of humanity's limits on its massive wings. Though it sits at the list today, based on wingspan, in terms of pure soul and legacy, it is unmatched. Originally born to carry the Soviet space shuttle, Buran on its back, the An-225 was a titan. It stretched 84 meters long, with a wingspan of over 88 meters. With a maximum takeoff weight of 640 tons, it was in a league of its own. Powered by 6 roaring engines, this monster could lift 250 tons of cargo into the clouds. To put that in perspective, that's like lifting an entire freight train or 40 fully loaded dump trucks and flying them thousands of miles. After the Soviet space race ended, the dream slept for years. But in the 21st century, the world called upon it again. It became the hero of logistics, hauling wind turbine blades, entire helicopters, and disaster relief supplies that no other machine on Earth could handle. When it landed with its nose cone opening up like a giant mouth to let tanks drive straight in, it looked less like a plane and more like a flying cathedral of steel. But the An-225 had a tragic flaw. It was the only one of its kind. It had no brothers. And in February 2022, tragedy struck. During the conflict in Ukraine, Hostomel Airport, the dream was caught in the crossfire. The nose was destroyed, the spine snapped, the body charred. The world's largest operational plane was reduced to wreckage by the horrors of war. On that day, the aviation world wept. Not just for a machine, but for the audacity of the human spirit it represented. Mriya lies broken now, but its legacy as the ultimate heavy lifter will fly forever in history. Number 9. The Frankenstein, Boeing 747, Dreamlifter. The first time you lay eyes on this aircraft, you might think the designers lost their minds. It looks like a snake that swallowed an elephant. The fuselage is swollen, the back is hunched, and the tail looks like it's been surgically reattached. It isn't sleek, it isn't pretty, and frankly, it looks a little clumsy. But don't laugh. This is the Boeing 747 Dreamlifter, and it is a masterpiece of function over form. Boeing took their legendary 747-400 and performed radical surgery on it. They inflated the fuselage to a massive volume of nearly 2,000 cubic meters, 3 times that of a standard freighter. Why create such a monster to solve a logistical nightmare? The parts for the modern 787 Dreamliner are made all over the globe, wings in the US, fuselages in Japan, tails in Italy.
To just 9 hours in to front with Boeing 747 Dreamlifter in the parking lot, cargo planes on the planet that is now heavily used for commercial aircraft.
So the Dreamlifter was born to eat
much
them
bigger and
whole.
stronger than before to its
most incredible feature is the tail. The entire rear section swings open on a massive hinge, allowing giant fuselage sections to slide right into its belly. It might violate every rule of aesthetic beauty, but in the air, it is a stable, reliable workhorse. There are only 4 of them in existence, constantly looping the globe like an aerial assembly line. You won't see it at your local gate, and you can't buy a ticket to ride it. But without this ugly duckling, the beautiful 787s you fly in today would simply never exist. It proves that in aviation you don't have to be pretty, you just have to be capable.
And supplying wings of their own.
Number 8. The charismatic whale, Airbus Beluga. If the Dreamlifter is the ugly duckling, this next plane is the adorable mascot of the skies. Imagine standing on the tarmac and seeing a white whale swimming through the air. That's not a metaphor. This is the Airbus Beluga, and yes, it's named after the whale for a reason. With its bulging forehead, sunken cockpit, and a perpetual smile painted on the front, the Beluga is arguably the most charismatic aircraft ever built. But like its American rival, this shape wasn't a design choice. It was a necessity. Airbus needed a way to move massive A350 wings and fuselage sections across Europe to their final assembly lines. Standard planes were useless, so they built their own supertransporter. The cargo bay is a cavernous tunnel with a diameter of over 7 meters. It's so huge that it can swallow a pair of wings in a single gulp. To make this work, engineers had to lower the cockpit below the cargo deck. This allows the massive forehead of the plane to flip open like a lid, creating an unobstructed mouth for loading cargo. While it doesn't carry the extreme weight of a military lifter, its volume is king. It flies a daily loop between France, Germany, Spain, and the UK, acting as the heartbeat of European aviation manufacturing. Airbus embraced the resemblance so much that on the newer models they actually painted eyes and a mouth on it, giving it a personality that aviation fans adore. It's a gentle giant, a flying cartoon character that carries the weight of an entire industry on its hump. Number 7. The alien monster, Super Guppy. If you thought the previous 2 were strange, prepare yourself. This aircraft looks like something out of a 1950s B-movie about an alien invasion. It has a bulbous, bloated head and a propeller-driven body that seems too small to carry it. This is the Super Guppy. Born in the 1960s, the Super Guppy is the grandfather of oversized transport. It was built on the bones of a Boeing 377, but the top half was blown up to ridiculous proportions. The result is a flying warehouse with a cargo hold diameter of over 7.6 meters. But here is why this monster is a hero. It helped put man on the moon. During the Apollo program, NASA had a problem. The Saturn V rocket stages and lunar landers were gargantuan. They couldn't go by road, and barges were too slow. The space race was ticking. Enter the Super Guppy. This oddball plane could hinge its entire nose open 110 degrees and swallow components of the Apollo spacecraft whole. It is no exaggeration to say that without the Super Guppy, the timeline of space exploration would have been dragged back by years. It ferried the dreams of astronauts from coast to coast. Today, despite its ancient technology and comical appearance, it is still used by NASA for specific missions. It remains a testament to the era of can-do engineering, where if you needed to move a rocket, you built a monster to carry it. Number 6. The Hercules of helicopters, Mi-26. Let's take a break from fixed wings for a moment. You might think helicopters are small, agile machines. You would be wrong. Meet the Mi-26, a Soviet beast that puts most airplanes to shame. To understand the scale of this thing, imagine this. The Mi-26 can hover in the air while dangling an entire passenger jet beneath it. It holds the title of the world's most powerful mass-produced helicopter. With an 8-blade main rotor that spans 32 meters wider than the length of a Boeing 737, it slices through the air with a terrifying rhythmic thumping sound. Its maximum takeoff weight is 56 tons, and it can lift a payload of 20 tons vertically. From the frozen tundras of Siberia to the scorching deserts of conflict zones, the Mi-26 is the ultimate heavy lifter. It transports oil rig equipment, construction materials, and hundreds of troops. It has even been used to airlift other damaged helicopters and planes out of remote areas. Seeing an Mi-26 in action is surreal. It looks like a building that decided to fly. It combines the brute force of a freight train with the vertical freedom of a hummingbird. It is a reminder that in the world of aviation, big isn't just about wingspan, it's about raw, unadulterated power. Number 5. The Palace in the Clouds, Airbus A380. While cargo planes are built for brute strength, passenger planes are built for the human experience, and no plane has ever elevated that experience quite like the Airbus A380. This is the largest passenger airliner in history, a double-decker super jumbo that runs the entire length of the fuselage. It is a flying city capable of carrying over 850 people. But it's not just about capacity, it's about luxury. Step inside the first-class suites, and you aren't on a plane anymore. You are in a 5-star hotel. Private rooms, lie-flat beds, bars, where you can stand and have a cocktail, and yes, even showers with heated floors at 30,000 feet. The sheer engineering required to plumb a working shower system on an aircraft is mind-boggling. The wings of the A380 are a marvel in themselves, spanning nearly 80 meters, big enough to park 70 cars on. It takes off with a maximum weight of 560 tons, yet passengers often remark on how quiet it is. The advanced noise reduction makes the cabin feel like a library compared to older jets. Although the era of 4-engine giants is fading, the A380 remains the undisputed queen of commercial travel. It proved that we could build a ship that wasn't just a tube of seats, but a destination in itself. Number 4. The Mobile Launch Pad, Stratolaunch ROC. Now let's look at a machine that completely rewrites the definition of wingspan. If you saw this flying overhead, you might think you were seeing double. 2 fuselages side by side connected by a wing that stretches 117 meters. That is longer than an American football field. It is the Stratolaunch ROC, the widest plane ever to fly. It is so massive, it needs 28 wheels just to support its weight on the ground. It uses 6 Boeing 747 engines to heave itself into the sky. But why build something so colossal? The ROC isn't designed to go from point A to point B. It is a flying launch pad. The idea is genius. Instead of launching rockets from the ground, fighting through the thick lower atmosphere, and bad weather, you hang the rocket between the ROC's twin hulls. The plane carries it up to the stratosphere 11,000 meters high and drops it. The rocket ignites in the thin air and shoots straight to orbit. Named after the mythical bird of prey that could carry elephants, the ROC is a spectacle of modern composites. One side carries the pilots, the other carries data systems, and the middle carries the payload. It is a strange, breathtaking vision of the future of spaceflight, a mobile airport that cruises at the edge of the world. Number 3. The Flying Bum, Airlander 10. Okay, let's address the elephant in the room, or rather the buttocks in the sky. One look at the Airlander 10, specifically from the rear, and you understand why the internet ruthlessly nicknamed it the Flying Bum. But look past the comedy, and you will find a serious contender for the future of aviation. At 92 meters long, this is currently the largest flying aircraft in the world. It is a hybrid part airship, part helicopter, part airplane. It uses helium to float aerodynamic shape, to generate lift and propellers to move. Because it doesn't rely solely on engines to stay airborne, the Airlander has superpowers that jets can only dream of. It can stay in the air for 5 days with a crew or 3 weeks unmanned. It can land on sand water or ice. It's quiet, vibration-free, and incredibly eco-friendly. Imagine it as a luxury superyacht of the clouds drifting silently over the Amazon rainforest or the Arctic ice shelf. It represents a slower, greener, more thoughtful way to fly. It might look funny, but the technology inside this bum is no joke. Number 2. The Wooden Wonder. H-4, Hercules, Spruce Goose. Let's travel back to 1947. World War II had driven innovation to the breaking point. The eccentric billionaire Howard Hughes had a vision. A transport plane so big it could carry 750 soldiers or 2 Sherman tanks across the Atlantic, safe from German submarines. But there was a catch. Metal was scarce. So Hughes decided to build the biggest plane in history out of wood. Critics called it a disaster. They mocked it as the Spruce Goose, even though it was mostly made of birch. But the stats were terrifying, a wingspan of nearly 98 meters, a record that stood for 72 years until the Strato-launch rock appeared. It stood 5 stories tall. On November 2, 1947, with Hughes himself at the controls, the wooden giant taxied onto the water. Thousands watched, expecting it to fail. But then the impossible happened. It lifted off. It only flew for 26 seconds. It only reached 21 meters in altitude. And it never flew again. But that didn't matter. In those 26 seconds, Howard Hughes silenced the world. He proved that human will could make even a forest fly. Today, the Spruce Goose rests in a museum, a perfectly preserved wooden cathedral dedicated to the audacity of the golden age of aviation. Number 1. The Edge of Space. NASA. X-15 and B-52 Stratofortress. And finally, at number 1, we have a machine that isn't just about size. It's about the absolute limit of what is possible. It's not a single plane, but a legendary partnership, the B-52 mothership and the X-15 rocket plane. This duo represents the most extreme form of aviation ever attempted. The X-15 wasn't a plane you simply took off from a runway. It was a manned missile, a black bullet loaded with rocket fuel. It was too fast, too heavy, and too dangerous to start on the ground. So NASA strapped it under the wing of a massive B-52 bomber. The B-52 would haul it up to 45,000 feet, and then drop it. The moment the X-15 fell, the pilot ignited the engine. In seconds, he would be slammed back into his seat, with crushing G-force accelerating to Mach 6.7. That is 7,274 kilometers per hour. To this day, no manned aircraft has ever gone faster. The fuselage would glow red-hot at 600 degrees Celsius from air friction. It flew so high, over 100 kilometers, that the pilots officially earned their astronaut wings. They weren't just flying. They were skipping off the atmosphere like a stone on water. This combination didn't just break records. It shattered them. It paved the way for the space shuttle and everything that came after. It stands at number 1 because it symbolizes the ultimate ambition of large aircraft, not just to carry cargo across the world, but to carry humanity to the stars. There you have it, the giants, the freaks, and the legends of the sky. From the lost dream of the An-225 to the wooden wonder of the past. Which of these mechanical monsters impressed you the most? Let us know in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this flight, hit that like button and subscribe for more amazing discoveries. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next one.